Hey guys, Mike here. So, I know it may be a little bit late to say, but Happy New Year, hope you all had a good one, and welcome to a whole new year of Miketizmo. Like I've already said, 2018 was a good year for movies, but now we need to forget about 2018 and look to the future. So, the first movie I'll be reviewing in 2019 is Welcome to Marwen. In this review, I'll be going over a brief summary of the plot, my quick thoughts about the film, and whether or not you guys should go and see it. So I'm going to try and keep this review spoiler-free. However, if you don't want to know anything about the film and you want to go in completely blind, then I would suggest coming back to this video once you've seen the film. So, with all that, let's get started, shall we?
But at least the Nazis are dead.
So Welcome to Marwen is based on a true story and stars Steve Carell as Mark Hogenkamp. You may remember Steve Carell from Anchorman and Bruce Almighty. In Welcome to Marwen, Mark Hogenkamp was recently brutally attacked. The attack left him with life-threatening injuries. As well as that, he now has crippling social anxiety and he's been left with horrible memory loss. The injuries were so severe that he couldn't even write his own name anymore. This became a problem for him because he was a fairly successful illustrator. So instead of drawing to tell his stories, he now uses little doll action figure things to tell his stories for him. Not only that, he used these dolls and a fictional world that he created called Marwen to pretty much help with his crippling social anxiety and to pretty much get him through the next couple of months. He puts himself into the story in the form of Captain Hoagie and also the women who really helped him in his time of need. And this is where pretty much half of the story takes place, in the fictional town of Marwen. So first of all, when the movie started, it was really setting up quite a lot of jokes, it was trying to be funny, but ultimately, I just really wasn't laughing. In fact, for the most part, I was really just actually cringing a lot of the humour in this movie. So, I think to get myself through this movie, I really had to stop thinking of it as a comedy. And you know, it really helped me to get through this movie, and actually, it became better when I stopped thinking of it as a comedy. That's not to say this movie is completely devoid of humour, because there are one or two points in the movie where it is actually quite funny. Whether that was with an intentional joke, or with the absurd nature of some of the action scenes in this movie. So, not completely unfunny, just better if you think of it not as a comedy. Also, I really like Steve Carell in this movie. It could have been so easy for him to have made this role really creepy, but instead he makes a really sympathetic human character which you can really feel for. And, as a whole, Steve Carell really shows off some pretty good acting chops in this movie. Not so much that I think he'll get any kind of awards for this movie, but just enough that you can really feel that he actually cared about what he was doing and really wasn't phoning it in at all. I mean, whether he did phone it in is up for debate, but I personally felt that he really cared about what he was doing in this movie. And also, for the most part, I really did feel that the movie gave equal and relevant screen time to both the real world and the fictional town of Marwen. And for the most part, you may think Marwen is quite low stakes as it isn't really based in the real world and has no real world relevance. But actually, it was just a good representation of seeing Mark trying to get through his social anxiety and just try and make himself better. And for the most part, even though the story of Marwen doesn't really push the whole movie forward all that much, you still really quite like the characters in there, even though they are only one-note caricatures of the real people that they're based on in the movie. But ultimately, if I had to give this movie some critiques, and I probably feel that this is why the critics and most of the audience don't really like this movie, is because quite a lot of the messages in this movie are really, really heavy-handed. I mean, first of all, the exposition at the start of the movie, pretty much everything that happens to him in the past is pretty much done over about a minute and a half. I mean, it doesn't really feel that it's bombarding you with information, but the exposition does feel quite clunky in a sense. I don't know, I did think that it worked for this movie, but there are definitely smoother ways of doing it. But ultimately, the thing that was the most heavy-handed in this movie was a lot of the symbolism. I won't really say exactly what it is because it kind of ventures into spoiler territory. It's just, if you watch this movie, you'll really see what I mean with them being heavy-handed with a lot of things. Overall, guys, I think if you don't think of this movie as a comedy, you'll have a much better time. Steve Carell's really good in the movie, and ultimately, I don't know why people are being so harsh on this movie. I mean, just look at these scores. I mean, I just don't really know. I mean, the movie's not great, but it's not terrible like these reviews are saying it is. But now, as for whether or not you guys should go and see it, I would probably actually recommend this one, mainly for the fact of that I don't think it's as terrible as most people are saying it is. But, I mean, if you're not really that interested in it, I'd say probably give it a pass. But as for me personally, I enjoyed this movie a lot more than I thought I would. So for that reason, I'd say, go see it, have a good time. Okay, guys, that's my review for Welcome to Marwen. If you've seen it, what did you think about it? And what's your favourite Steve Carell movie? Whatever it is, drop it in the comments below. And until next time, I've been Michael. See ya!